something. This is the outcome. It ain't gonna change for you. You know, it's still the same.
Well, I think on that hand, he get frustrated when they tell him the people the movie, and they don't get it. You know, they don't they don't want to listen to what he's saying, but that frustrates him a lot. Like, fool, you gonna get shot. You know, he just keep it frustrating him all the way to the footage where he just
It does.
Well, you know, as we discipline others, we have to learn to discipline ourselves.
Yeah.
We got to do it. I have a saying: if you become too old to learn, you become too old to teach.
Exactly.
See, you learn something all the time, whether you admit it or not. A lot of people don't admit that they learn things from some who we may call underlings, but you can. You can learn. You learn something every day that you live. You learn something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Learn
Well, okay, so
Well,
you
I was
know,
going to go back to the Klan.
yeah, that's where I was getting ready to go.
I was raised up in the community. I think it's all about numbers. In the community I come from, even though we didn't have anything and we were kind of off a little bit, but we were so outnumbered by white folk. White America, we were just outnumbered. They had no need to put the hood on. They had all the control.
Yeah.
But if you come to Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas, we was out here by the Grove. See, now they wish they had them hoods on now. You know, they could use those hoods because we got people that are running around and our folk are not right. They not working. They not trying to work. They wouldn't have had that. They wouldn't have let that go back in the day.
what the way society is now.
The way
All
we're
right.
operating in our community.
Why do you
No
think
way.
they wore the hoods?
Well, they wore the hood because they were the same folk that you were working for. They were the same folk that run the sheriff department. And the purpose of the hood was to scare you.
Well,
I mean, it put the fear in you.
I want to scare you with the hoods.
and tomorrow, on the job, he was the leader.
Exactly.
See, and leaders are supposed to be bold and outgoing and not afraid. The hood hid all of that for them. You know, don't think that even though they had large numbers, they were afraid. Even though they were coming, it would take a host of 50 to come get one black man. When they went to get Emmett Till, it was just a host of them. This was a kid. They were afraid, and they still are afraid.
Yeah, I could believe that. They wouldn't. That's
were
why they
afraid.
came in groups.
They-
They know they could get away with it at the
They
time.
were afraid because they built you into a person that you really were that you didn't know that you were. They would say something big had to be done. Say, wait till John get here, he can pick it up. See?
So, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
You spoke of Emmett Till, and I know that story well. Now, what was our position when all that happened? What did we do as the African community?
Those close by were afraid that tomorrow night they might think I was a part of it and come to my house. Those who were away from it wanted something done. See, we have always had, through my lifetime, something that we could rally around. When I was just a youngster, it was Joe Louis. It was Joe Louis. Joe Louis was everything. People used to stand around the window and listen on battery radios, and all they could hear is Louis, Louis. They didn't know what it was, and that they would broadcast these things. And the next day, we were just gleeful if he beat Braddock or Max Baer or Smelling. And Joe
You named
Louis
all
had
them
won.
those names.
The next day, black people had smiles on their face. They would go to work early, and because his boss man had probably told him Joe Louis was going to get whipped this time. And we have always had that in my lifetime. Behind, we had Jesse Owen. We had, right behind that came Jackie Robinson. Right behind that
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, Muhammad Ali. We've always had somebody in our community that excelled and shouldn't have. We have always had good entertainers. You know, I remember when the only black voice singing was Billy Eckstein. I never saw him, but I knew him. I never saw him perform, but I could hear his voice because they told me.
You know,
So it transpired to today too.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to get to see Etta James a few years back,
Yeah.
and that was, amazing to me. You know, she can't do what she used to do, but it was just that moment in history was just
Oh, she was
fulfilling.
Good. She was good.
But you didn't mention Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson wasn't a.
No, he was a little before my time, and I didn't. You know, black people reeled and rocked about him because of his relationship with white women.
So we didn't embrace him.
Black men thought he was lucky maybe to be with one, but black women didn't approve of it.
That's still to this
Yeah,
day.
they don't approve of it. You're right, they don't approve of it today.
Yeah.
And then because they think that a guy like our recent guy over in Georgia, that they just wait around and take advantage of our guys who make money. I went to a funeral of one of my friends when I was doing a little thing with the New York Jets, and when those big guys, the Giants team was on one side and the Jets team was on the other. When them big linemen came out and formed, they had these little white wives weigh about 80 pounds. All of them, they weighed 400 pounds. They were just standing all along there. And, some of the women, they just kind of looked at it. They had disdain about him.
Okay, time is running short,
Yeah.
and I want to fast forward.
All
What
right.
do you think about our situation today?
I'm glad you asked that, and I let somebody out, because I was going to ask the question as to why are we where we are today?
Okay.
George, you can go ahead with that.
Why are we where we are?
No,
why-
that was mine.
We were talking about, we rallied around people and parents were separated from children, and now we know we're in a terrible situation as a people.
Yeah.
And why are we in this situation?
Well, I think our biggest thing that ever happened to us was we lost respect for ourselves and everyone around us. It starts with and see, you can't really respect God like you ought to, not respecting your brother. I think it's a respect thing. We just don't care.
Well, I think he answered it from the first thing he said, and that was that. I said, we didn't have a lot of government dependency as I was growing up. And he said, it depended on the neighbor. And, one of the big questions that's asked in the Bible when God speaks to Cain, he said, where's your brother? And he answers him and says, am I my brother's keeper? And that gives a lot of thought to something, because if he's his brother's keeper, then he ought to know where he is, how he's getting along, what he needs, what his situation is. And we have lost that brother's keeper. It used to be that every house on the street I lived, I could take my mother's cup and get a cup of sugar, cup of flour, whatever she needed to make out today. All I had to do is say, my mama say send it.
You do that today, you're gonna get talked about.
Oh.
They broke down there. What are he doing right here? Bumming sugar.
Right.
They living above their means. They be all kind of.
You didn't get that come on, because if we went to Miss Anna's house, you said, tell her if she needs some more tomorrow to come back. We don't have that kind of participation.
Trust.
In our community. We don't have that kind of partnership.
So what do you think happened?
We became independent. As soon as the man cut us a little more off and to put in our pocket, we became independent. I didn't have to, I could stretch this and I could put some extra on me, and I lifted my own self up.
Yeah.
And I became hard to deal with. I became hard to deal with. I remember my mother sitting on our front porch and said, somebody's cooking a cabbage. you know, just the aroma from it, you know, you could almost tell what was cooked in every house. Now we don't have those kind of things, you know. We don't have those kind of care. We don't. If I had to cook cabbage, I might hide it. You know, I might cook it when nobody would smell it. I don't want them to know we had to cook that. And we were proud of it at one time, and we are not now.
So what is your solution to the problem? Do you have a solution?
Well, let's back up and say one more thing about that. The way I remember, we were looking forward to the day when we didn't have to depend on each other. We had this thing about folk that every time you turn around, they want to borrow a cup of sugar. They want to do this. They want to do this. See, we wanted to be like we think white folk are.
Yeah, but
that was the image we had. See?
We didn't know that knocking on the door to say, Mr. Nate, can you take my son to the doctor, kept a relationship going.
Yeah, we missed all
And
that.
he had
That
on
makes
the
that
car.
makes good sense.
Yeah.
He had on a car on the street, and he knew. He'd say, wait till I can put my pants on. He didn't say, I can't go today. I don't have any gas. Wait till I put my pants on. It'd take him half an hour to put his pants
and
on.
I'm not too old to remember that because, you know, I might spend some time with my grandmother, and my grandmother didn't want to drive. She'd call somebody up and say,
Right.
take, you know,
Get
take,
that car, go out there
take on up the
Yeah,
store.
go out there and get that car to
Yeah.
take them to the store.
Mm-hmm.
My mother would send me to the store and say, go down there and get a nickel cabbage and or whatever I was going for. And said, stop and ask Annie if she wants anything. She made me share my going to the store with them. See, I never would go to the store without stopping and asking the lady across the street next door if she wanted something. I do the same thing. My neighbor back out of Cadillac, go to the store, and all the way I know she went, she come back with a loaf of bread, and I'll be standing in the yard. It's just not in them to say, Brother Pruitt, you want something from the store? I'm going.
Yeah,
That would draw
that's
us.
foreign.
You know, no.
And you know,
He got a car, let him go.
I know. In this day and age, that foreign.
It puts a smile on my face because I remember
Right.
all that.
Right, right.
You know, you didn't do just for yourself. It
Right,
was about
that-
everybody.
That's why I say then.
In this day and age, they were like, he crazy as hell. He asked me to
Right,
stop by, bring me some bread home from the store.
right, right.
But I think one of the best kept secrets is that still works.
Yeah, it does.
You share what you got, you know.
It still works.
We have to learn to forget how other people do it. You do what's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know.
But you know, everybody's not into doing what's right.
That's what I
Everybody
think.
in this day and age is into
See,
taking advantage of people who
but
are
see,
doing right.
See, 1 plus God is a majority. So that's why when
I want to put down 2 or 3 names I want y'all to get out here to this show. That,
Well, you know, like I told Brother Whitley, we're more than happy to have them. Because, you know, we're running out of time, Bam, and we want to thank the both of you for coming out here this evening, and we must do it again.
oh, yes.
And, you know, I would love to do a part 2 because it seems like you have so much knowledge to share with us in the community. So,
So what's stopping them from doing a part 2?
well,